Well, friends, hello, and slow down for a moment. Before you close your eyes tonight, before your thoughts begin to drift, let me ask you something. What if you lived one quiet, ordinary day in 1880s America? No electricity humming in the walls, no glowing screens pulling at your attention, no engines, no traffic, no modern noise, just the steady rhythm of life moving at a human pace. Imagine waking up in a world where morning arrives gently, where time is measured by light, by routine, by habit, where the day unfolds slowly, without urgency, without interruption. This is not a story about great events or famous names. This is a story about stillness, about routine, about an ordinary day lived quietly from morning to night. If you enjoy calm historical stories like this, stories created to help you relax, unwind, and fall asleep, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to Stories of America, and leave a quiet comment below. Your support helps this channel grow and allows us to continue creating peaceful night stories from the past. You can also turn on notifications so you never miss a new journey into history. Now, there is nothing else you need to do. You don't need to imagine too hard. You don't need to stay alert. You don't need to follow every detail. Just listen and let the story carry you. The day begins before sunrise. In the 1880s, morning does not arrive with alarms or electric light. It comes softly, guided by habit and the natural world. The sky outside is still dark, colored in deep blues and muted grays, but life has already begun to stir. You wake beneath heavy blankets. They are thick and warm, woven to protect against cool nights. The bed is simple and sturdy, made of wood, built to last. It holds your weight quietly, without complaint. The air in the room is cool against your face. Somewhere nearby, a stove or fireplace holds the faint warmth of last night's fire. The gentle scent of wood smoke, ash, and iron rests in the air, familiar and comforting. Outside, the first sounds of morning appear. A distant rooster calling, the soft movement of animals shifting, a breeze passing through trees or across open land. If you live near a small town, you may hear the faint creak of a wagon wheel or the quiet opening of a door. If you live farther out, the sounds are fewer, but no less real. Morning in the 1880s is quiet, but it is never empty. It is shaped by routine. You sit up slowly, allowing the blankets to fall away just enough to feel the cool air. Your feet touch the floor, solid beneath you. Wood, worn smooth by years of use, cool, grounding, real. The day does not rush you. It waits patiently. And as you take your first slow breath of the morning, one quiet day in 1880s, America begins. You remain seated on the edge of the bed for a moment longer. There is no reason to move quickly. In the 1880s, the day does not push forward all at once. It unfolds gradually, like light spreading across the land. You take another slow breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, then leave just as gently. The room around you is dim. Light slips in through a small window, thin and pale, filtering through simple curtains or bare glass. Dust floats quietly in the air, visible only when it crosses the faint beam of morning light. Everything feels still, as if the house itself is waking slowly alongside you. Nearby, a chair waits. A coat hangs from its back, heavy and worn, shaped to your body by years of use. The fabric smells faintly of the outdoors, earth, smoke, and clean air. Beside it, sturdy boots rest on the floor, scuffed and reliable, ready for another day of walking. You stand carefully. The floor's cool beneath your feet, and the sensation pulls you fully into the morning. The body responds not with tension, but with awareness. This is how mornings feel, when nothing is rushing you forward. You move toward the wash basin. It is simple and functional. A pitcher sits nearby, filled the night before. When you pour the water, it makes a soft, hollow sound as it meets the bowl. The water's cool, refreshing, You dip your hands in slowly, then bring the water to your face. The touch wakes you gently. A cloth follows, rough but familiar. You wipe your face, your hands, your neck. Small movements, repeated every morning, grounding you in routine. There are no mirrors glowing with artificial light. If there is a mirror at all, it reflects you softly, imperfectly. Somewhere else in the house, someone is already awake. You hear a quiet footstep, a door opening and closing, the faint clatter of a pot being set on a stove. If you live alone, these sounds come from outside instead. A neighbor beginning their day, a distant animal, the world slowly turning itself on without electricity. The stove or fireplace is tended next. You add a piece of wood or coal, adjusting it carefully. When flame catches, it does so slowly, without drama. The fire grows warm, steady, reliable. The room begins to change almost immediately, trading night's coolness for gentle heat. The smell of smoke deepens slightly. It mixes with the scent of wood, iron, and the faint trace of soap. This is the smell of home in the 1880s. It settles into clothing and walls, becoming part of daily life. You dress slowly. Each layer serves a purpose. A shirt, simple and clean. Trousers or a skirt, sturdy and practical. Socks pulled up carefully. Buttons fastened one by one. There is no hurry, no choice between outfits meant for display. Clothing is chosen for comfort, warmth, and durability. By the time you finish, the light outside has grown a little brighter. Morning has arrived more fully now. And as the fire settles into a steady glow and the house begins to breathe with warmth, the quiet rhythm of the day continues forward, ready to carry you gently into whatever comes next. The kitchen, or the main room where morning work is done, feels like the center of the house. Even if it is small, even if it is plain, it holds the tools of daily life. The stove, the table, the shelves with dishes, the hooks with coats and aprons. In the 1880s, comfort is made from routine, and routine often begins here. The fire has taken hold now. It is not roaring, just steady. The stove warms slowly, and that warmth spreads outward into the room, softening the chill that lingered from the night. The sound is gentle, an occasional pop of wood, a low shifting of coals, the faintest crackle like quiet conversation. A kettle is filled. Water is poured from a pitcher or carried from a pump. It splashes into the metal with a hollow, familiar sound. Then, the kettle is placed on the stove, where it will warm gradually, without any electric hurry. While the water heats, the morning remains calm. You move with practiced motions, not thinking too hard about each step. The body knows what to do. Hands reach for familiar objects. A tin cup, a small bowl, a plate that has been used so many times, its surface has dulled softly. Breakfast in this world is simple. Perhaps it is oatmeal, stirred slowly and warmed until it thickens. Perhaps it is cornmeal mush, or bread with butter, or eggs if you keep chickens and the hens have been generous. Maybe there is a small jar of preserves, dark and sweet, saved for mornings when comfort is needed. The scent of food begins to rise. Warm grain, wood smoke, butter melting. Coffee or tea, depending on what you have and what you prefer. Coffee is common in many households by the 1880s, though it is not always strong, not always plentiful. The smell, when it appears, feels like a real invitation to the day. Outside, the world continues to wake. Light spreads across the yard or the street. Birds begin their morning calls. A wagon passes in the distance, its wheels sounding dull on dirt, or clicking softly on packed stone if you live closer to town. If there are animals nearby, you hear them. A horse shifting its weight, a cow lowing faintly, chickens stirring, scratching at the ground. The sounds are not loud. They are the quiet background of life lived close to the earth. You sit at the table. The chair creaks softly beneath you. The tabletop is worn and smooth in places, marked by years of meals, Years of hands resting there, years of ordinary days, repeating. There is comfort in that repetition. The first bite is warm. It settles in your stomach like calm. It does not rush you forward. It does not excite you. It simply supports you, preparing you for the day. You eat slowly. There is time. The morning is not filled with notifications, not interrupted by constant sound. Even if you have work ahead, the first moments of the day belong to quiet. When you finish, you clean up simply. A plate rinsed, a cup wiped, a cloth folded. Small motions that close the breakfast ritual the way a book is closed gently after reading a few peaceful pages. And now, as the kettle cools and the stove continues its steady warmth, the day is ready to open wider. The world outside is brighter. Morning has fully arrived, and you step toward the next quiet part of this 1880s day. When you step outside, the air feels fresh in a way that is hard to describe to anyone who has only known modern mornings. It is not filtered. It is not conditioned. It is simply air, cool and alive, carrying the scent of earth and wood and distant smoke. The world is brighter now, but the sun is still low. Light falls at an angle, touching rooftops and fence posts and the tops of grasses, leaving shadows long and soft. Dew clings to the ground, sparkling faintly where the light finds it. The morning feels clean, as if the night has washed everything gently and left it quiet. If you live on the edge of town, the street is still calm. A few doors open. A neighbor steps outside briefly. A wagon might roll past, not fast, not loud, just steady, like a slow heartbeat of the community. If you live farther out, the land spreads wider. Fields, trees, a stretch of road disappearing into distance. The horizon open and quiet. You pause for a moment, not because you have nowhere to go, but because in this world, pausing is normal. The day is not something you chase. It is something you move through. The sounds of morning surround you. Birds calling from branches. The faint rustle of leaves. A rooster crowing again, as if to remind everyone that the day has started. A distant hammer tap from someone already at work, careful and unhurried. If there is a porch, the boards feel cool beneath your feet. Wood warmed slightly by sun, still holding night's chill. Your hand might rest on a railing worn smooth by years of touch. You look out over the small details. A bucket near the door. A stack of firewood. A broom leaning against the wall. A coil of rope. Tools that belong to this life. Not decorative, not rare, simply present. The day's first work begins gently. Water must be carried unless you have a pump nearby. You walk to it, hands steady on the handle. When you pump, the sound is rhythmic. The water comes cold and clear, splashing into a pail with a bright, clean sound. The weight of the pail is real. It pulls at the arm, grounds the body. It reminds you that life here is physical, not exhausting every moment, but always connected to the body's strength and patience. Back near the house, you set the water down. You hear the soft clank of metal. You take another breath of the morning air. In the 1880s, work is often quiet but constant. Not because people are forced into endless motion, but because daily life requires steady attention. Heat, water, food, cleanliness, animals, repairs. Everything is maintained with hands and time. If there are animals, you check them now. Chickens in a small coop, rustling and clucking softly. You scatter feed, watching them gather in a small, busy circle. Their movements are quick and light. Their presence makes the yard feel alive. If there is a horse, you greet it calmly, a hand resting briefly on its neck, the warmth of the animal beneath your palm, a soft breath from its nostrils. The horse shifts its weight and seems to settle. These moments are not dramatic, but they are real, and the quiet reality of them is what makes this day feel peaceful. As the morning continues to unfold, with sunlight growing stronger and the air warming just slightly, your routine carries you forward. one calm task at a time. And in this world, that is enough. The morning becomes steadier as the hours move forward. Sunlight brightens the edges of things first. The top of a fence rail, the rim of a bucket, the curve of a wagon wheel. Then, slowly, it spreads across the yard and the road, warming the dampness away. Dew disappears quietly, without announcement, leaving the grass darker and heavier where it was wet. You move through small tasks the way you always do, not rushing, not stopping too long, simply keeping the day in motion. If you live in a town, you may begin walking toward the main street. The road is dirt, packed down by years of feet and wheels. In places it is smoother, in others it holds shallow ruts. You step around them naturally, the way your body has learned to do without thinking. If you live farther out, your work is closer to home. A shed door opens with a soft scrape. Tools hang on hooks or rest against the wall. Metal looks dark and honest. Wood handles are worn smooth by use. You choose what you need and carry it calmly. The tool has weight. It feels familiar in your hand. It is not new, not shiny, but dependable. In the 1880s, a great deal of life is built from things that last. A fence that has been repaired many times. A table that has seen countless meals. A coat patched where it wore thin. Boots resoled and worn again. Even the morning itself feels like something that has happened many times and will happen many times more. Outside, you hear the wider world. A wagon passes in the distance, wheels turning steadily. A dog barks once, then goes quiet. A neighbor calls a short greeting. A reply comes back, soft and casual, not needing much. The air smells different now. Less like night, less like dew. More like warmed wood. More like earth beginning to dry. More like smoke from small fires kept alive in kitchens and stoves. If there is laundry to be done, you see it. A line strung between posts, cloth moving slightly in the breeze. The fabric looks pale in sunlight, and the movement is gentle, like slow breathing. If there is mending, it waits indoors. A needle and thread, a button loose, a torn seam. Quiet work for later hours, done without hurry, hands moving in familiar patterns. For now, the day remains outdoors. You may chop a small amount of wood. Not wildly, not loudly, just enough for the stove. The axe rises and falls in a steady rhythm. The sound of wood splitting is clean and satisfying, then silence again. Or you may sweep a porch or step, bristles moving back and forth, dust collected. The simple act of making a place orderly. The sound is soft and repetitive, almost calming. As you work, you notice the world's small beauty. The way sunlight finds the edge of a leaf. The way a breeze moves through tall grass. The way the sky looks wide and open, unbroken by wires or towers. Even if you are near a growing town, the 1880s still hold more open space than most modern places. And that openness affects the mind. It makes thoughts quieter. It makes time feel slower. It makes the day feel possible without feeling heavy. Soon, the morning will lean toward midday. The sun will climb higher. Shadows will shorten. The air will warm. But for now, in this calm middle of morning, you continue your quiet work, guided by routine, accompanied by simple sounds, moving steadily through an ordinary day. By late morning, the day has fully taken shape. The light is clearer now, less angled, less golden, and more steady. Shadows still exist, but they no longer stretch so far. The air is warmer, though not hot. It carries the scent of sun on wood, dry earth, and distant smoke from other households preparing their own meals. If you are near town, more movement appears on the road. A wagon rolls past with a slow creak. A horse's hooves make a soft, hollow sound on packed dirt. Someone walks with a bundle tucked under an arm, hat pulled low against the brightness. There is a gentle energy to late morning. It is not busy in the modern sense, but it is active. People are out. Work is being done. Small errands are carried. The world is awake and steady. You may head toward a general store. Its front porch is shaded. Barrels or crates sit near the doorway. The smell inside is familiar. Wood, flour, leather, soap, perhaps coffee beans stored in a sack. Goods line shelves in neat rows, and the space feels both practical and strangely comforting, like a place where the community gathers quietly. A bell above the door may ring when you enter. Not sharp, just a small announcement. The shopkeeper looks up, nods. There is no loud greeting, only recognition. The quiet understanding of people who see each other often. You purchase what you need. A small sack of sugar if you can afford it. A bit of lamp oil, a spool of thread, a bar of soap, perhaps nails or a simple tool. Coins exchange hands with a soft clink. Paper might be used too, depending on where you are. But coin is common, tangible, real. You feel its weight. You hear it. Then it's gone again, replaced by goods carried carefully home. Back outside, you pause again. Not because you are lost, but because standing still is allowed here. The street is not filled with rushing bodies. You can watch a wagon roll by. You can listen to the slow sound of wheels. You can feel the warmth of the sun on your face. Somewhere, a child laughs. The sound is brief, bright, then fades into the air. A dog trots after someone, tail steady, not barking much. A neighbor greets another neighbor. Words exchanged are short and practical, not meant to fill silence, only to acknowledge each other. If you return home, you carry your items inside. They are set on a table, unwrapped, placed where they belong. Nothing is tossed. Nothing is forgotten. Everything in this world is handled with care, because everything takes time to replace. Midday approaches. You can feel it in your stomach, in the way the morning's energy begins to settle. The body knows when it will want food again, and the mind begins to turn toward the small comfort of lunch. The stove is warmed again. A pot is set on. Water heats. Food is prepared simply. Maybe leftovers. Maybe bread and cheese. Maybe a small bowl of soup or stew kept from the night before. Nothing complicated, nothing rushed. The smell of food fills the room. Warm and steady. Familiar. You sit down. The chair creaks softly. The table holds you again. The same worn surface. The same quiet comfort. You eat slowly, tasting each bite, feeling the warmth settle in your stomach. Outside, the day continues. But for this moment, you are inside, sheltered from wind, warm near the stove, held by routine. And as you finish this simple midday meal, the day begins its slow turn toward afternoon. After lunchtime stretches in a calm, wide way. The morning has been steady, the midday meal simple and warming. And now the day begins to slow just slightly, as if it is settling into its middle. The brightest part of the day has arrived, but it does not feel harsh. It feels quiet and open. In the 1880s, the afternoon is not filled with screens or constant interruptions. It is filled with what needs doing, done steadily, without drama. You clear the table, a plate wiped, a cup rinsed, a cloth folded and set aside. The motions are small but satisfying, the kind that leave a room feeling orderly. And order in a world like this is a kind of comfort. It makes life feel manageable. It makes the mind feel calm. If the day is warm enough, you step outside again. The air has changed. It is drier now. The scent of morning dew is gone. The earth smells warmed, like sun on soil. A breeze moves occasionally, not strong, just enough to stir leaves and brush your face. It carries distant sounds. A wagon somewhere far off, a faint hammer tap, a bird calling from a fence post. Afternoon work might bring you to the yard, the barn, or a small workshop. If you have repairs to do, you do them now. A loose board on a fence, a hinge that needs tightening, a rope that must be retied, a tool handle that needs smoothing. Hands move slowly, sure and practiced. Wood, in this world, is everywhere. It is part of the house, part of the fence, part of the wagon, part of the furniture. You feel it under your fingertips, rough in places, smooth in others, warm where the sun has touched it. If you work with animals, you check them again. Water in the trough, a gate latched properly, a brush run gently over a horse's coat, steady and calming. The animal breathes warm air into your hand. It shifts its weight. It stands quietly, accepting the attention as something normal and safe. If you live in town rather than on a farm, afternoon might mean quieter tasks indoors. Mending, needle and thread, a button sewn back on, a tear repaired before it becomes larger. This work is patient and repetitive, the kind of motion that allows the mind to quiet itself. Stitch after stitch, the world becomes simple. Or perhaps you write a letter, paper smooth beneath your hand, ink dark and steady, words chosen slowly. The act feels careful, thoughtful. You pause often, listening to the faint sounds of the house and street, letting the mind rest between sentences. Outside, the town or the countryside continues. Children play somewhere at a distance, voices light and brief. A neighbor passes by, a hat raised in greeting. The interaction is short, friendly, calm. No one lingers too long. No one needs to fill the air with constant talk. The afternoon light begins to soften almost invisibly. The sun is still high, but it no longer feels like it is climbing. It feels like it is steady, beginning its slow drift toward evening. And in this gentle afternoon, with routine guiding your hands, the day feels peaceful. Not because nothing happens, but because everything that happens is simple. A task completed, a fence repaired, a button sewn, a letter written. Small acts that create a life. And as the hours continue to pass quietly, the afternoon begins to lean slowly toward the warm hush of late day. Late afternoon in the 1880s has a different feeling. The light begins to change in ways you can sense, even without looking directly at the sky. It becomes warmer again, softer, less bright. Shadows stretch a little longer. The air cools slightly, as if the day is slowly loosening its grip. You notice it first in small places. The way sunlight catches the edge of a window frame. The way the ground looks less harsh, more gentle. The way birds become quieter for a while, as if resting between songs. If you have been working outdoors, you begin to slow down. Not because you are exhausted, but because the day itself is slowing. The afternoon does not push forward endlessly. It begins to fold inward, preparing for evening. You might carry in a few pieces of wood. The weight is steady in your arms. The wood smells clean and dry. You stack it neatly near the stove or the fireplace, knowing that later, when the air cools more, the fire will be welcome again. You check the water once more. A pail filled. A bucket set near the door. In a world without running taps, having water ready is a quiet form of comfort. It makes the evening easier. It keeps routine smooth. If the day has been warm, you may wash a few things. Hands in water, cloth rubbing, the sound of water moving in a basin. These small motions feel calming, and the task itself is simple enough to allow the mind to drift. Outside, you hear the community shifting toward evening. A wagon returning home, the faint sound of a gate opening and closing, a distant call between neighbors. Not loud, not urgent, just the quiet music of people finishing the day. If you live near a town, you may see smoke rising from more chimneys now. Thin gray trails, climbing into the sky. Each one means someone is starting their supper, warming a stove, preparing a room for night. The smell of cooking begins to appear in the air. Not strong, not sharp, but comforting. Bread warming, meat simmering, vegetables softening in a pot. The scent drifts across yards and streets, reminding everyone that evening is coming. Inside, you begin to prepare supper. The stove is warmed again. The fire is fed carefully. The sound of it catching is gentle, a soft crackle and low shifting of coals. A pot is set on. Water heats slowly. Ingredients are gathered. Nothing is rushed. In the 1880s, cooking is part of the rhythm of the day, not an interruption of it. If you have children, their voices soften as they come closer to home. If you live alone, the house feels quiet but not lonely. The walls hold warmth. The stove holds flame. The day feels complete in a simple way. As the light continues to soften and the air grows cooler, you find yourself moving more slowly. Evening routines begin to take their place. Supper, warmth, cleanliness, quiet. And with each small step toward night, the world feels calmer, as if it is preparing you gently for rest. Supper in the 1880s is not a grand event. It is not meant to impress. It is meant to nourish, to warm, to mark the gentle turning from day to night. You sit at the table again, the same place where breakfast and midday meals were taken. The light in the room is softer now. If there is a window nearby, it no longer shines brightly. Instead, it glows with late afternoon gold, fading slowly toward gray. The food is simple, a bowl of stew, thick and warm. Bread, torn rather than sliced. Perhaps a small portion of meat, if the day has been good. Maybe vegetables softened and seasoned lightly. Steam rises from the bowl. It carries the scent of home. Cooked food, warm metal, wood smoke. The smell fills the room gently, then settles into the walls and clothing, becoming part of the evening. You eat slowly. There is no need to hurry. Night will arrive whether you rush or not. The body responds to warmth and food by relaxing, by easing its grip on the day's effort. Outside, the sounds begin to change. The daytime noises fade first. Work sounds become rare. Voices lower. Movement slows. In their place, quieter sounds arrive. A cricket begins its steady song somewhere in the grass. A bird settles into a tree, wings rustling softly. A distant wagon passes slower now, as if respecting the hour. If you live in town, you may hear doors closing for the evening. Shutters drawn, locks turned, lights beginning to glow faintly behind curtains. In the 1880s, light does not flood the world at night. It appears in small pockets, a lamp on a table, a candle near a window, the warm glow of firelight behind glass. When you finish eating, you clean up carefully. Dishes are rinsed, pots are set aside, leftovers are covered or stored. Nothing is wasted. Everything is handled with care, because effort lives inside every object. The fire is adjusted again, not built high, just fed enough to keep warmth through the early night. The sound is gentle. The glow deepens and steadies. As evening settles more fully, the room begins to feel smaller and safer. Shadows gather in corners. The ceiling seems lower. The outside world feels farther away. If there is a clock, it ticks softly, not loudly, not insistently. Just enough to remind you that time continues, even when nothing urgent is happening. This is the moment when the day truly begins to let go. Work is done. Food is eaten. The body begins to rest. And as the light fades beyond the windows, and the quiet of evening wraps around the house, the calm of night draws closer, step by gentle step. As dusk approaches, the world outside begins to soften. The sky changes first. It loses its brightness and becomes a muted wash of color, pale gold fading into gray, then into deeper blue. The edges of trees and rooftops grow darker. Shadows stretch longer again, reaching across yards and roads like slow, quiet fingers. In the 1880s, dusk is a clear turning point. It is when the day's work truly ends, not because someone says it does, but because light itself begins to leave. You step outside for a moment. The air is cooler now, brushing your face and hands with a gentle chill. The smells of the evening are richer. Smoke from chimneys, damp earth beginning to cool, and the faint sweetness of grass. If you look toward the horizon, You can see the last light lingering there. Not bright, but soft, like the last glow of embers. The sounds around you are calmer too. A few birds call quietly as they settle for the night. Insects begin their steady song. A distant dog barks once, then goes quiet. If you live near town, there may be a faint glow from windows, small points of light appearing one by one, as lamps are lit inside homes. In the countryside, the world darkens more completely. The sky grows wider. The land becomes quieter. The night feels closer. You return indoors. The warmth of the house greets you again. Firelight flickers softly. The stove holds steady heat. The room feels like a shelter, a place set apart from the growing darkness outside. Now, evening routines begin. Water is warmed for washing if needed. A basin is filled. Hands are cleaned again. Faces wiped. The day's dust and smoke are removed gently, not as a luxury, but as part of feeling ready for rest. Clothing is loosened, a coat hung on a hook, boots set aside, a scarf folded. Each small action feels like setting down the day piece by piece. A lamp is lit. The flame catches, bright for a moment, then steadies. The room is now lit in a warm, soft way. Shadows move gently along the walls. The light is not harsh. It is calming, like a small fire captured behind glass. If you have a book, this is the time you might read. Pages turn quietly. The paper smells faintly of ink and age. Words are absorbed slowly, without hurry. If you have no book, you might simply sit in a chair near the stove, hands resting in your lap, listening to the quiet sounds of the house, the ticking of a clock, the low sound of fire, the faint creak of wood as the building settles. Outside, night continues to arrive. The sky deepens. Stars begin to appear, faintly at first. The world grows darker, and yet it feels calm, not frightening. In this time, darkness is normal. It is not something that must be pushed away with bright artificial light. It is something accepted, something lived with. And as the lamp glows steadily and the fire keeps the room warm, you feel the day slipping farther behind you, leaving only quiet evening in its place. Evening deepens, and with it comes a kind of stillness that feels earned. The world outside is now mostly dark. The last traces of color have faded from the sky, replaced by deep blue and soft black. Stars are clearer now, scattered gently overhead, and if the moon is present, it casts a pale, quiet light across the land. Inside, the room feels smaller and more intimate. The lamp glows steadily on the table, its light warm and contained. Firelight moves slowly in the stove or hearth, creating soft shadows that stretch and shrink along the walls. Nothing flickers sharply. Nothing demands attention. This is the hour for quiet presence. If there are others in the house, voices are low now. Conversations are brief and gentle, spoken more for comfort than information. If you are alone, the silence does not feel empty. It feels full, held by familiar sounds. A chair creaks as you sit. The wood is smooth beneath your hands, polished by years of use. You settle into it slowly, feeling the day finally release its hold on your body. Muscles relax. Breathing deepens. Outside, the night sounds continue softly. Crickets keep their steady rhythm. A breeze moves through trees, leaves whispering quietly. Somewhere far away, a wagon passes, its sound distant and muffled. If you look through the window, you see darkness dotted with small points of light. A lamp in a neighbor's window, a faint glow from a distant house, perhaps the soft shimmer of moonlight on a road or field. These lights feel comforting, reminders that others are nearby, also settling into their own evenings, also preparing for rest. You may take a moment to reflect. Not deeply, not with effort, just a gentle awareness of the day that has passed. The tasks completed, the meals eaten, the small moments of quiet that shaped the hours. Nothing stands out dramatically, and that is exactly what makes the day feel complete. In the 1880s, Evenings are not crowded with distractions. There is no constant stream of noise or light. The mind is allowed to slow naturally, guided by darkness and routine. You tend to the fire one last time. A piece of wood or coal is adjusted carefully. The glow steadies again, enough to keep the room warm without burning too bright. The sound is calm, almost soothing. The lamp remains lit, but perhaps turned lower. Light becomes softer. Shadows deepen. The room grows quieter still. The body begins to feel heavier. Not tired in a sharp way, but gently weighted, like settling into a comfortable chair after a long walk. Eyelids feel heavier. Thoughts become slower, less defined. This is the body recognizing night. And as the sounds outside grow fewer and the warmth inside remains steady, the evening draws closer to its final quiet moment before sleep. The hour grows later and the house seems to breathe more slowly. The fire settles into a low, steady glow. It no longer crackles much. It simply exists, holding warmth in a quiet, reliable way. The lamp's flame is smaller now, its light gentler, creating a soft circle on the table and leaving the rest of the room wrapped in shadow. Outside, the night has fully taken hold. The sky is dark and wide. Stars feel closer, sharper in the absence of city lights. The moon, if it is there, moves slowly across the sky, unnoticed by most, patient and calm. The sounds of the evening thin out even more. Crickets continue their rhythm, steady and unchanging. The breeze slows, then stills. A distant sound might appear briefly, then fade into silence again. Inside, the house feels settled. Walls hold the warmth of the day. Wood and brick rest quietly. Every object seems to be exactly where it belongs, and there is comfort in that familiarity. You stand and begin preparing for sleep. Movements are slow and unhurried. There is no reason to rush. Night stretches wide, offering plenty of time for rest. Water is poured into the basin once more. It catches the light briefly, then grows still. You wash your hands and face gently, the coolness refreshing, the motion calming. A cloth is folded and set aside, the simple ritual marking the final transition from day to night. Clothing is changed. The garments worn through the day are removed carefully and placed where they will be ready tomorrow. Nightwear is simple and soft, made for warmth and comfort rather than display. The lamp is turned lower again, or covered partially. The room dims further. Shadows deepen, becoming soft and complete. The fire remains the quiet heart of the space, its glow barely visible but still present. You pause for a moment, standing in the dim light, listening to the stillness, feeling the calm weight of night settle around you. In this world, darkness is not something to fight. It is trusted. It tells the body when to rest. It gives the mind permission to slow down. It creates a gentle boundary between the day that has ended and the sleep that is about to begin. You move toward the bed. The blankets are thick and inviting, layered for warmth. The mattress is firm but familiar, shaped by countless nights of rest. When you sit, it accepts your weight quietly. The house makes a small sound, a faint creak, a settling beam. Nothing alarming, just the sound of age and stability. You lie down slowly, the blankets are drawn up. Warmth gathers again around your body. The room, now mostly dark, feels safe and enclosed, a small, quiet world of its own. And as you settle in, with the fire glowing softly and the night fully wrapped around the house, sleep draws closer, unhurried and gentle. The bed feels like the final, quiet answer to the day. Blankets settle over you with a comforting weight, thick fabric holding warmth close. The mattress supports your body steadily, firm but familiar. And the pillow beneath your head feels cool at first, then slowly warms as you rest into it. The room is dim now. The lamp's light, if it still burns at all, is very low, barely more than a soft glow. Firelight is faint too, a quiet warmth hidden behind iron and ash. The darkness is gentle, complete, and calming. Outside, The night is steady. Crickets continue their rhythm like a slow metronome. The distant hush of wind moves through trees, then quiets again. A far-off sound might appear briefly, then fade back into silence. The world has stopped asking anything from you. Breathing begins to slow. At first it is normal, then gradually it deepens. The inhale becomes longer. The exhale becomes softer. The body relaxes into the bedding as if gravity has increased slightly, pulling you down into comfort. Your hands rest naturally, fingers loosen, wrists soften, shoulders sink deeper beneath the blankets. The mind begins to drift. Thoughts come slower now, like objects floating past in water. A memory of sunlight on a fence rail, the scent of wood smoke, the warm weight of a supper bowl in your hands, a quiet conversation or the absence of one. Then those images fade. A small sound in the house, a faint creak somewhere in the floorboards as the building settles. Old houses speak in small noises, not to alarm, but to remind you that they are living structures, always adjusting to temperature and time. Then stillness returns. The room remains warm. Even if the fire is low, the house holds its heat. Brick and wood remember warmth, the way fabric remembers folds. The air is steady and calm. Time begins to lose its shape. In the 1880s, there's no glowing clock face in the darkness, no buzzing device on a bedside table. Night is allowed to be dark, and darkness makes time feel less sharp. You can almost imagine the entire world resting the same way. Other houses nearby also dim, other families settling into bed, other lamps turned low, other fires adjusted carefully to last through the night. A quiet nation in quiet rooms, letting darkness do what it has always done. Sleep approaches gently. Not sudden, not forced. It arrives the way evening arrived earlier, slowly, naturally, carried in by routine and darkness and warmth. And as your breathing continues to deepen and thoughts grow softer and fewer, you drift closer to the edge of sleep, held safely by the night. Sleep comes closer like a soft tide moving in. It does not crash. It does not demand. It simply rises, quietly filling the spaces where thoughts used to be. Your breathing becomes slower still. Inhale, calm and deep. Exhale, long and warm. The pauses between breaths grow slightly wider, and each pause feels comfortable, as if the body has decided there is nothing left to hurry for. The room remains dark and still. The faintest warmth lingers from the stove or hearth, held in the air and in the walls. The blankets keep it close to you. The night outside remains cool, but it feels far away now, separated by wood, brick, and curtains. Outside, the sounds of the world continue gently. Crickets keep their steady song. A distant owl calls once, then quiets. A breeze moves through leaves like soft brushing, then fades. These sounds do not pull you awake. They soothe you, reminding you that the world can keep moving without your attention. Thoughts become less complete. They no longer form full sentences. They appear as fragments, impressions, textures, warmth, darkness, the smell of wood smoke, the softness of fabric, a faint memory of morning light through a window, the steady creak of a wagon wheel somewhere far off, the quiet comfort of a simple day. Then even these drift away. The mind begins to float. It feels lighter, less attached to anything. The edges of awareness soften. The body remains heavy and still beneath the blankets, but the mind becomes almost weightless, drifting gently towards sleep. The house makes another small sound. A quiet settling in the beams, a faint creak in the floor, then stillness again. So complete, it feels like the room is holding you. Time becomes less meaningful. There is no later to plan for, no tomorrow to prepare. Only this moment, quiet and warm, existing exactly as it is. In the 1880s, the night is darker than modern nights. There is no glow from streetlights pouring into the room, No distant hum of traffic, only the natural darkness, deep and soft, inviting the body to rest fully. You sink deeper into the mattress. The pillow supports your head. The blankets hold you. The air remains calm. Everything is steady. Sleep now feels inevitable, not something you must chase, but something that is simply arriving. The way night arrived earlier, the way dusk became darkness without effort. And as your breathing slows and your thoughts fade into quiet emptiness, you drift into sleep gently, carried by the calm rhythm of one ordinary day ending in perfect stillness. Sleep settles in fully now, like a soft blanket laid gently over the mind. Awareness fades at the edges first. Sounds grow distant, as if they are happening far away. The body feels warm, still, and deeply at rest. Breathing continues on its own. Slow, even, effortless. Each breath seems to carry you deeper into calm, deeper into rest. The chest rises and falls with quiet certainty, and nothing interrupts that rhythm. The night outside remains unchanged. The sky is dark and open. Stars keep their silent watch. The moon continues its slow path, unnoticed. Inside, the house holds steady. Walls stand firm. The roof shelters quietly. The floor rests beneath everything, solid and dependable. These structures have seen many nights like this, many ordinary days ending in the same gentle way. They know how to keep still. Thoughts no longer form pictures. There is no story now, no memory, no plan, only sensation. And even that grows softer. The warmth of the blankets becomes a general comfort rather than a specific feeling. The weight of the body fades into the mattress. Boundaries blur. Where you end and the bed begins no longer matters. Time slips away. Minutes pass, or perhaps hours. It makes no difference. In this state, time has no shape. Night stretches wide and forgiving, offering rest without condition. Somewhere far away, a sound may come and go. A night bird calling once, a branch shifting in the breeze, the faint echo of a distant movement. But these sounds do not enter your sleep. They pass by like clouds, leaving no trace. In the 1880s, nights are long and uninterrupted. There are no sudden lights, no alarms, no glowing screens pulling the mind back to wakefulness. Sleep is allowed to deepen naturally, layer by layer. The body repairs itself quietly. Muscles rest. The mind drifts through calm, unstructured dreams, or perhaps no dreams at all. Just rest. The day that began with soft morning light has fully dissolved into darkness now. Its tasks are complete. Its moments have passed. It no longer asks anything of you. You are held by night, by stillness, by routine, by the quiet trust that morning will come again in its own time. And in this deep, peaceful sleep, the world continues gently without you, waiting patiently for another quiet day to begin. The night moves on quietly without disturbance. Sleep deepens into something smooth and unbroken, like still water under a dark sky. There are no sharp edges here, no sudden shifts. Everything remains soft, steady, and calm. Your breathing stays slow and even. Each inhale is gentle. Each exhale releases a little more of the day that once was. The body is completely at rest now. Muscles no longer hold tension. Hands remain loose and warm. The face softens, free of expression, free of effort. In this deep sleep, the mind does not cling to thoughts. If dreams appear, they are faint and slow, more like feelings than images. A sense of warmth, a sense of safety. The echo of quiet routines repeated countless times before. Perhaps there is a memory of walking along a dirt road in early light, or the sound of a fire settling into coals, or the simple comfort of sitting at a table, hands wrapped around something warm. These impressions drift gently, then dissolve. Outside, the night remains peaceful. The wind barely moves. Crickets continue their steady rhythm. Stars hold their places in the sky. Nothing changes quickly in the 1880s night. Darkness is allowed to be deep. Silence is allowed to exist without interruption. The house continues to stand watch. Wood expands and contracts softly with temperature. A beam settles. A floorboard gives the faintest sound. These are not disruptions. They are signs of age and stability, of a structure that has lived through many seasons and many nights like this one. The fire has burned low now. Its warmth lingers in the air and in the walls, stored carefully for the long hours before morning. Ash rests quietly, glowing faintly beneath iron and stone. Time stretches. There is no awareness of how much has passed. There is no need to count it. Sleep holds everything gently, keeping the mind far from worry or attention. In this state, the world feels very far away. No roads, no work, no plans, only rest. And as the night continues its calm passage, you remain deeply asleep, supported by the quiet strength of the house, the darkness of the world outside, and the natural rhythm of a life lived without hurry. Somewhere in the deepest part of the night, the world becomes quieter than it was before. Not because everything stops, but because the moving parts of life slow to their smallest motions. The wind settles, the insects keep their rhythm, but even they sound distant. The land outside rests under darkness, and the sky feels wide and still. Inside, the room remains calm. The blankets hold their warmth. The mattress supports you steadily. The air is balanced, neither too warm nor too cold, shaped by the slow-burning heat of the stove earlier and the natural coolness of night. Breathing continues. Inhale, exhale. The sound is so soft it almost blends into silence. The mind remains far away, deep in rest. If dreams pass through now, they pass like slow shadows. They do not pull you upward. They do not sharpen. They remain gentle and unimportant, like a distant memory you will never need to recall. Outside, the stars remain steady. In the 1880s, nights are truly dark, and the sky feels closer because it is not washed out by bright artificial light. The constellations are clear. The moon, if present, throws a soft silver across fields and rooftops. The world looks calm under that light. A fence line becomes a pale edge. A road becomes a faint ribbon. Tree branches become quiet silhouettes. Everything feels softened, like a painting. The house around you holds its stillness. It does not hum with electricity. It does not buzz with hidden machines. It is quiet in a pure way, made of wood and nails and stone, resting exactly as it is. Occasionally, a small sound may appear. A faint creak as a beam adjusts. A soft settling of the building, perhaps the distant bark of a dog far away, brief and then gone. But none of these disturb the night. They come and go like small ripples on a calm surface. Time continues to pass in the background. But here in sleep, time has no weight. It is not something you feel. It is not something you measure. It simply moves quietly toward morning. And as the night remains deep and gentle, you remain asleep, held by warmth, darkness, and the calm certainty that nothing is required of you. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the deepest part of night begins to loosen its hold. Nothing changes suddenly. There is no signal. No sound announces it. But somewhere far beyond the walls of the house, the world has begun its quiet turn toward morning. You remain asleep. Breathing stays slow and steady, moving in its own calm rhythm. The body is fully at rest, wrapped in warmth, untouched by the subtle shift happening outside. The darkness remains complete. Stars still hang quietly in the sky. The moon continues its patient journey. Fields, roads, and rooftops lie still beneath the night, unchanged in appearance, unchanged in purpose. Inside, the house holds its silence. The fire has long since settled into ash, but the warmth it gave has not vanished. It lingers in the walls and floors, in the blankets and bedding, remembered by the structure itself. A faint coolness brushes the air now. Not enough to wake you, just enough to signal that night is moving forward. The body adjusts without thought. A deeper pull into the blankets. A softer turn of the head. Breathing remains calm. Dreams, if they come, are quiet and shapeless. No sharp images, no voices, just a sense of floating, of resting between moments. Outside, the insects continue their steady song, but even that begins to thin. The night grows quieter still, as if preparing space for what comes next. In the distance, far from houses and roads, the land rests. Fields lie dark and open. Trees stand motionless. Fences stretch across the ground, like pale lines waiting for light. The world feels paused. In the 1880s, this hour belongs fully to night. There are no early alarms, no lights flicking on, no sudden return of motion. Morning will arrive when it is ready. And until then, sleep remains deep and uninterrupted, holding you gently, allowing the body and mind to rest completely, wrapped in the calm certainty of a quiet night slowly passing. The night continues its slow passage, calm and uninterrupted. Sleep remains deep, like a still lake untouched by wind. The body rests without effort, supported fully by the bed, the blankets, the quiet room. There is no awareness of time, no sense of waiting. Only rest. Breathing stays gentle and even. In, out. Each breath feels natural, unforced, as if the body has remembered something old and simple about how to rest. Outside, the darkness holds steady. The stars remain in place, silent and distant. The moon has moved slightly, though nothing inside the room notices. Shadows have shifted in the fields and along the roads, but the world remains unchanged to anyone asleep within its shelter. Inside the house, everything is still. The walls do not speak now. The floor does not creak. The air rests quietly. This is the hour when even the house seems to sleep. If dreams appear, they are faint and slow, barely forming before they dissolve. They carry no story, no meaning, just the feeling of calm, of safety, of being held by something steady and familiar. The night air cools a little more, not enough to wake you, just enough to remind the world that time is moving. The body responds without thought. Muscles remain loose. The jaw unclenches. The shoulders sink deeper into rest. In the distance, the insects grow quieter still. Their rhythm slows, spaces between sounds widening until silence nearly takes over. The land outside feels suspended. Fields wait for light. Roads wait for footsteps. Homes wait for the soft return of morning. But none of this requires your attention. Sleep continues, unbroken and gentle, allowing the body to rest fully, allowing the mind to remain far from worry or awareness. And as this quiet hour stretches on, the night prepares, slowly and patiently, for the moment when the first hint of morning will finally arrive. The edge of morning begins long before anyone calls it morning. In the deepest part of sleep, you do not notice it. But outside, beyond the roof and the walls, the sky has begun a subtle change. The darkness is still there, still wide and calm, yet it is not as absolute as it was hours ago. The night has turned slightly softer. Stars remain, but they seem a little less sharp. The sky holds a faint hint of deep blue behind the black, so subtle it could be imagined. The land below is still quiet, still resting, still wrapped in darkness. Inside, the room remains steady. Blankets hold warmth. The bed supports you. The air feels cool but comfortable, and the house remains a quiet shelter against the night. Breathing continues in slow rhythm. Inhale, exhale. The pauses between breaths feel peaceful. The body does not fight the night. It rests inside it. Somewhere far away, a sound might appear. A night bird calling once, then silence. A distant dog shifting, then quieting again. The faintest movement of wind through branches. Nothing close, nothing sharp. just small reminders that the world continues even when everything feels still. The stove or hearth is quiet now. Only ash remains, holding a faint memory of warmth. The heat lingers in the walls and floors, stored carefully, released slowly. Even as the night cools, the room remains gentle. Time passes without shape. In the 1880s, there is no blue glow in the bedroom, no constant signal pulling the mind toward wakefulness. Darkness is complete, and that completeness allows sleep to remain deep and unbroken. Outside, the horizon begins to lighten just slightly. Not enough to call it dawn, not even enough to change the land's appearance. But the sky has shifted, quietly preparing. The world remains asleep. Houses are dark, roads are empty, fields are still. And inside, you remain held by the calm weight of sleep, resting deeply as night slowly gives way to the first quiet hints of morning. Somewhere beyond sleep, the world continues its slow, patient turning. The sky, still dark, now carries the faintest suggestion of change. It is not light yet. It is only the idea of light, far away on the horizon, barely touching the edge of night. You remain asleep. The body does not stir. Breathing stays slow and even. The mind rests in quiet depth. The room feels calm and balanced. Cool air brushes gently against your face, while the blankets hold warmth close. The bed remains steady beneath you, familiar and supportive. Nothing presses, nothing disturbs. Outside, the night has grown very quiet. Insects have nearly fallen silent. The breeze barely moves. Even the distant world feels paused. This is the hour when the night feels widest, not heavy, not lonely, just open and still. In the 1880s, this quiet is complete. There are no engines warming, no lights flickering on, no signals of the coming day yet. The land waits. Fields stretch out under darkness. Roads lie empty and pale. Trees stand motionless, their shapes softened by shadow. Inside, the house remains watchful in its own quiet way. Wood holds its shape. Walls keep their warmth. The roof shelters without sound. A small settling noise may appear, then fade. A gentle reminder that the house, like everything else, exists within time. But sleep remains undisturbed. Dreams, if they come at all, are shallow now, almost transparent. They drift through without forming pictures, leaving behind only a sense of calm. The body remains deeply relaxed. Muscles stay loose. The jaw is soft. The shoulders rest heavily into the mattress. This is the deepest rest of the night. The kind of rest that restores quietly, that repairs without effort, that asks nothing in return. And as the sky continues its barely noticeable shift toward morning, you remain asleep, wrapped in darkness, warmth, and the peaceful stillness of a quiet 1880s night. The first true hint of dawn arrives like a whisper, not as sunlight, not as brightness, but as a soft thinning of the darkness at the far edge of the sky. The night is still present, still wide and calm, yet it has begun to loosen, slowly making room for morning. Outside, the horizon becomes a shade lighter. A deep blue replaces the darkest black. Stars remain, but they feel slightly farther away now, their sharpness softened by the changing sky. The land below is still mostly hidden, but shapes begin to separate gently from the darkness. Trees become clearer silhouettes. Fence lines appear faintly, long and quiet. The road, if you could see it, becomes a pale ribbon through the dark. Inside, the room remains dim. Curtains block most of the change outside, but even through them, a faint gray begins to gather at the edges. The fabric looks slightly lighter than before, as if morning is touching it with gentle fingertips. You remain asleep. Breathing is calm and steady, but subtly different now. The inhale is a touch deeper, the exhale a touch shorter. Sleep is still holding you, but it holds more lightly, preparing to lift when the time is right. The house stays quiet. No sudden movement, no abrupt sounds, only the steady presence of walls, floor, and bedding. Only the calm shelter of a room that has protected countless nights. Outside, the first bird stirs. Not singing loudly yet, just a small rustle, a tentative movement. Then stillness again. The world is cautious, waking slowly. The air is cool. This is often the coldest part of the night, just before dawn. Dampness settles on the ground. Grass holds moisture. Wood and stone feel cool to the touch. But inside, the blankets keep warmth close, and the chill cannot reach you. A distant sound might appear. A dog shifting in its sleep. A far-off door closing softly. The faintest creak of a wagon somewhere very early. But most of the world remains quiet. Dawn in the 1880s is not loud. It is gradual. It is patient. It is gentle. And as the sky continues its slow brightening and the first soft signs of morning begin to appear, you remain resting, held in the calm space between night and day. The sky continues its quiet transformation. What was once deep blue becomes lighter now, slowly spreading across the horizon. The darkness does not vanish all at once. It steps back gently, allowing pale gray light to take its place. Dawn moves carefully, respecting the stillness of the world. Outside, shapes become clearer. Trees gain definition, their branches no longer just silhouettes. Fence posts stand out one by one. The road appears again, faint but visible, resting quietly where it has been all night. Inside, the room begins to change in subtle ways. The air feels slightly cooler, fresher. The darkness softens into shadow. Curtains glow faintly, not bright, just enough to signal that morning is near. You remain asleep, but not as deeply now. Breathing is steady, yet lighter. The body rests comfortably, but it is no longer completely distant from the world. Sleep has loosened its hold, though it has not let go. A bird sings for the first time. Not loudly, not confidently. Just a single soft call, testing the air, then silence again. Moments pass. Another bird answers somewhere farther away, then another. The sounds are spaced out, gentle, never overwhelming. Morning builds itself slowly. Sound by sound, the house responds in its own way. Wood shifts slightly as temperature changes. A beam settles. The structure wakes quietly, just as it did the day before, and the day before that. The blankets still hold warmth. The bed remains steady beneath you. The pillow supports your head exactly as it has all night. Nothing pushes you awake. Nothing rushes you forward. In the 1880s, waking is not abrupt. It is gradual. It is natural. It is guided by light and sound, not alarms. Outside, the air smells fresh. Damp earth, cool grass, the faint trace of smoke from a fire being lit somewhere nearby. The world is preparing for another day, but for now you remain resting in this quiet moment between sleep and waking, where the night has not fully left and the day has not fully arrived. A peaceful pause, a soft breath, a gentle beginning waiting just ahead. Morning arrives the way it always has in this world. Slowly. The sky is now a soft, even gray blue, bright enough to outline everything clearly, yet still gentle, still quiet. The land has returned to view. Fields, fences, rooftops, the pale road stretching into distance. Dew rests on grass and wood, catching what little light there is and turning it into tiny, quiet sparks. Birdsong becomes steadier, not loud, not chaotic. Just a calm layering of calls that tells you the day has begun. Somewhere, far off, a rooster answers, patient and familiar. Inside, the room is no longer night dark. Curtains glow with morning light. Shadows remain, but they are softer, less complete. The air feels fresh, cool and clean, and the faint scent of ash and wood smoke lingers from the night before. Your breathing shifts again, a deeper inhale, a softer exhale. The body stirs gently beneath the blankets, not waking abruptly, but rising slowly toward awareness. A small movement of the hand, a quiet stretch of the foot. The warmth of the bedding holds you like the last gentle trace of night. For a moment, you can remain here, in that calm space between sleep and waking, where the day does not demand anything yet, where the mind is still quiet. Outside, the world continues to wake. A distant door opens. A bucket is set down softly. A faint wagon sound begins somewhere far away. The first fires of the morning are lit in other homes, sending thin smoke into the pale sky. The scent drifts gently through the air, mixing with damp earth and cool grass. Another day in 1880s, America is beginning. And that is where our story comes full circle. Because this was never meant to be a tale of great events. It was meant to be a quiet day, a day of small routines, simple warmth, a steady pace, a gentle night. If you're still awake, you can let your thoughts stay slow and soft. And if sleep has already taken you, let it hold you longer. Thank you for spending this quiet day with Stories of America. Good night and sleep well.